I would like to share how I have approached an essay in mains 2019 UPSC exam, right? So today before taking up an essay, I would just like to brief how I approached an essay. Now this may not be the best way, but I would like to share how I approached the essay. So I used to ensure at least there are some important elements in my essay. Those important elements are, the first thing is a powerful introduction. I used to ensure the introduction is very powerful so that it will create an impact on the evaluator, and also it in some sense explains how my essay is going. So in this way I used to design my introduction, right? So a powerful introduction is something which I used to ensure in an essay. The second thing is number of examples. Any essay I write, I used to try my level best to incorporate examples as possible, right, in the essay, as many examples as possible. And the third thing is dimensions. For example, if there is an essay saying health is the real wealth, then I would like to analyze that one particular line in a number of dimensions. This dimensions thing we will be taking up in an essay, but analyzing an issue in a number of dimensions. So putting a number of dimensions to the evaluator is something I used to ensure, so that my essay is not monotonous, so that my essay is not boring, so that I am not stressing only on one particular point and dragging about that throughout my essay. That's what something I used to avoid. I used to make sure I write every dimension in brief, so that the evaluator also will not get bored, right? I would be supporting that one particular line in the essay in a number of ways rather than in a one single way. So number of dimensions is something which I used to make sure. And the two other important things are quotations and data. Quotations wherever possible. Quotations, number of quotations. Quotations are something which will make your essay beautiful, attractive, and something which is distinct. I mean, it separates you from the lot. How many quotations you use, how appropriately you use them is something which makes your essay very special. So quotations I used to write as many as possible. I used to collect quotations and write them. The second thing is flow. There should be a flow in the essay. Flow in the sense it should not be like a GS answer. See, in GS answer, what do we write? We write an introduction, we write the challenges, we write what the government steps are being taken, we'll write the way forward. That should not be the case with an essay. If that is the case with an essay, it makes the essay very monotonous, right? So a flow should be there, a separate flow should be there where you talk about challenges, you talk about government steps, but it should not be like a GS answer. That is something which I used to ensure. The last thing is powerful conclusion, connecting it to some current topic or current slogan given by the Prime Minister or any such thing, any some new idea which is there in the news, something or the other, a powerful conclusion. So powerful introduction and powerful conclusion are something which I used to make sure that I will write a powerful introduction and conclusion, because these are the two things which actually create an impact on your essay, how you are starting and how you are connecting all the dots and concluding at the end, right? So these are some of the important elements. Now we will be taking up an essay which I have attempted in my essay paper, which was best for an individual is not necessarily best for a society. Best for an individual is not necessarily best for a society. Now the first thing we have to do is, rather than starting to attack the essay by writing, we need to, I used to dedicate at least a 10 to 15 minutes for preparing the format of my essay, right? For preparing the format of my essay. In the exam paper, in the examination time, in the hall, the first 15 minutes, I saw the 4 essays there. I selected this essay, and then for the first 10 to 15 minutes, I prepared the format for this. What should be the introduction? What should be the conclusion? What are the different dimensions I can write? I roughly made a note of all these things, and then I started the essay. So this is something which I have done. So if you analyze this statement, best for an individual is not necessarily best for a society. So this is a very interesting statement. So here, this line, this one particular line You have to underline the important points. What are the two important points? Best for an individual, best for a society. Now this line says that these two may not be matching all the time. So this should be the theme around which we have to write everything in our essay. So then I started writing down some of the important points which I can support this. Right? In this way, in the first 10 to 15 minutes, I've prepared the notes. Now coming to the essay. Now the introduction. How to introduce this? I started my introduction with the Sabarimala case. The Sabarimala case. So I started explaining the Sabarimala case. What happened in that case? So I started saying that the Sabarimala women temple entry movement, which we have seen in the recent times. What was the issue? On one hand, we were talking about entry of women into the temples. That women should not be discriminated from entering the temples. Women also enjoy fundamental rights. It's the violation of individual rights of the women if they are not allowed into the temple. But on the other hand, if we see, even the Supreme Court also supported women's stand. But on the other hand, if we see, the society in Kerala is following these customs and traditions since ages. From many years, they were following these customs and traditions that women in the age of menstruating age should not allow or should not be entered into the temple. Now this brings a conflict. Now what happened? Supreme Court has given a judgment which is very progressive in nature and which is needed also. It has upheld the rights of the women, rights of an individual to enter into the temple. But that created a lot of turmoil in Kerala. That created a lot of protests in Kerala. People rejected this judgment a lot. In fact, we can see society going against the verdict of Supreme Court, not allowing individual women to come into the temple. In fact, we can see women groups itself attacking women not to enter into the temple. So I explained this case, all the points which I have told you now, I have explained this Sabarimala case, and then I said that, so what may be better for an individual may not always be better for the society. This brings a debate between individual interest and public interest. So in this way, I started my essay by citing one issue which is in news a lot at that time. Right? So from this, I started deriving my dimensions. So with this introduction, I gave a picture to the evaluator. I tried to give a picture to the evaluator that whatever may be better for an individual may not be always better for a society. And then I started giving different dimensions. Now, what are these dimensions? I ensured that at least I would be giving 20 dimensions for every essay. 20 dimensions. That means in 20 different ways, I'll tell the evaluator that that statement is correct. Either supporting or negating that statement, I will be giving 20 different ways. Rather than, see, now I have taken up Sabarimala issue. I will not continue that till my end. Now that actually brings boredom for the evaluator also. So what will I do? I'll just cut short the Sabarimala issue to the introduction. That's it. Now different dimensions. Now I have taken Aadhaar example. If you have seen the case of Aadhaar, Aadhaar was brought, we know the Puttaswamy case judgment, the Supreme Court judgment. Now there, what did the Supreme Court say? It said privacy is a part of fundamental right. It upheld the right to privacy. In fact, and also there was another Supreme Court judgment after that which said Aadhaar card is must, but privacy also should be upheld. Now what was the issue around the Aadhaar? That I started to write there. Now if we see the case of Aadhaar, on one side, Aadhaar was a noble initiative that was brought by the government so that services can be delivered to the people without any corruption and in a transparent way, right? So for public interest, Aadhaar was introduced. But on the other hand, if we see, we have seen many intellectuals and many people filing PILs that their privacy is being violated because of Aadhaar, right? Now this also brings the debate that what may be for an individual may not necessarily be best for the society. Here, because of individual rights of privacy, we are stopping the benefits that Aadhaar will give to the public. right? Here also individual interest and public interest collided, right? This is one dimension. Now the other dimension which I took up is corruption. Corruption by a public official. Now if we see in individual's perspective, corruption by a public individual may be better for him, may be better for his family. He may be having many plans for his family. He need to send his son to a foreign institute, or he wants his family to lead a better life, or he wants himself to lead a better life. For various other individual reasons, a public official might charge bribe. Now if individual's perspective, this is very good. What is it in the society's perspective? Because a public official has taken corruption, because he has allowed permission for a wrong contract, a bridge might collapse, a government hospital might collapse, or services may not be delivered to the needy people who are in very much need of the services. They might be denied the services because of corruption, right? So many repercussions are there on the public interest. Now if we see individual's perspective, that public official, it's actually benefiting for him because he's taking corruption, so it's best for him, but it is not best for the public, right? He's looting public's money, and public is something which is paying taxes but is not getting the services, so that is not good for the society, right? So this is other dimension which I took, corruption. And now the other thing is, for every dimension I tried to include a quotation, right? For example, this corruption dimension I have explained you. One quotation which I could cite is, corruption is like a termite to the nation building. Termite means in Telugu it is cheeda purugu. So termite is something which actually erodes slowly, it bites away the entire thing. So corruption is like a termite. It's like a termite to the nation building process, right? So these are some powerful quotations which we can include. These add color to our essays. So this add strength to our argument. So in this way, corruption is other dimension which I took up. Then the third dimension which I took up is Supreme Court's judgment on adultery and live-in relationships. Now if we see, before last year, Supreme Court gave a judgment in the favor of adultery and live-in relationships. Adultery means a partner in a marriage relationship can have a relationship with other people also, right? A partner, rather than having a relationship with his or her spouse, can have a relationship with other people also. That was decriminalized. Previously it was a criminal activity under our IPC and CRPC sections, but 2 years back Supreme Court has decriminalized adultery. And also we can also see live-in relationships. Now if we see on the individual's perspective, it is nothing but upholding individual's rights. It is very right of an individual to choose his partner. It is very much the right of an individual to express himself. It is very much the right of an individual to be in a live-in relationship. No one should question them and no one should stop them. That even has backing of a Supreme Court judgment also, right? So in individual's perspective, if we see, it is upholding their choice. It is upholding their freedom of expression. It is upholding their Article 21, Article 19. But if we see in the society's perspective, live-in relationships and adultery may lead to disintegration in the social fabric. The social ethos of our country might be broken. Family system might not be that much strong as it was before if adultery and live-in relationships come, right? So there are chances. No, we should not be assertive. We should not say they will lead, they should lead. We'll say they may lead or they might lead to adultery. So if we see in a society's perspective, it's something coming in conflict with the individual rights, right? So this is one dimension we can support the statement of our essay. So in this way, in different dimensions, we have to either support or negate it. Now I have given you 3 examples or 3 dimensions how I have done that. The other thing can be smoking. Now this I have included so that it will be very much practical. Now if you see smoking, smoking is something which is done by an individual for his own pleasure. So it is best for him, but it will definitely deteriorate public health, all those people who are surrounding him. right? So in this way, smoking is an example which I just added so that it will be somewhat a light thing, a light dimension, rather than being monotonous, right? And also uh, companies or industries. Now, if we see industries, on one side, industries want profits. Profits are the ultimate motive of the companies or the industries, right? If we see on the company's perspective, they want profits. That's it. They'll do anything for the profits. That is the ultimate motive for them. But we see in the environmental perspective, the pollution perspective, right? The loss of biodiversity. So all these impact the society. Now in this case also, what is best for a company or a corporate may not be necessarily best for the society, right? So profits are equally important as the environmental concerns also. Now if an industry pollutes like hell, does everything, even goes to corrupting public officials and ultimately gets the profits, that may be good for the company, but that definitely has a negative impact on the society. This is also another dimension where we can support this statement. And even tax evasion. What is tax evasion? Not paying the taxes. Not paying the taxes at time. Now tax evasion is also a serious issue in India. By evading the tax, the same argument. But this tax evasion, you should explain. You should explain supporting this statement, right? That tax evasion is benefiting for an individual, but it is actually reducing government's revenue. It's tightening the government's hands. Government is not able to spend significantly on expenditure just because it does not have the tax revenue, just because people are evading tax, right? And you have to add necessary quotations wherever possible, right? So these are some of the dimensions. Now in this way, I have given 20 dimensions in my essay. To tell you other dimension, bad consumerism also. Now what is this bad consumerism? Consumerism means the tendency in an individual to consume more and more. Like we'll buy a smartphone, we may not be happy with it. After 1 year, we'll buy another smartphone. We'll throw the previous smartphone in the dustbin, right? This is called bad consumerism. That means without thinking about environmental implications, without thinking about pollution, without thinking about the society, we consume a lot. This is called bad consumerism. Because of this bad consumerism, there will be huge waste generation in the society. Not only electronic waste, plastic waste, everything. Because of this bad consumerism, because of the tendency in the people to use more and more, to frequently change things. This is some culture which we got from westernization also. So this bad consumerism, as an individual, you will feel very good. It is best for an individual because as an individual, you desire social status. So why do we keep shifting things? It's because it improves our social status, right? We want to project ourselves in a trendy way. Now that's where we go for bad consumerism, right? So as an individual, it is our right and our choice to buy whatever we need, to use whatever we need, in whatever way we want. But what is it for the society? Water is a very valuable resource. But because of bad consumerism, because of using it whatever way we want, now water scarcity has come. So on the society, it is not good, right? This is also a dimension you can add, supporting this statement. And here I have used a quotation saying, Gandhiji's quotation I have used, right? Earth has enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. Now this is a quotation given by Mahatma Gandhi. Earth has enough resources to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. These are some nice quotations. You can collect and use them in your answers, right? So in this way, I've tried to give 20 dimensions in 20 different ways. I tried to approach the same statement given in the essay. Those might be current examples, right? Those might be stories, or those might be some serious issues going on in India. So to all these things, I tried to connect. I tried to relate that one statement to 20 different things so that my essay won't be boring, right? If you try to connect this to 20 dimensions, at max you can write only one or one and a half para about every topic. So in this way, I tried to ensure that diversity in my essay in different ways, that so that the evaluator won't get bored. That was something, an attempt which I made. So in these dimensions, I tried to write the essay. Now, pre-conclusion and conclusion. So after writing all these dimensions, I have to conclude. But before concluding it, I wrote a pre-conclusion. Now, what is this pre-conclusion? Pre-conclusion is something which comes before conclusion. That part is very much important. Now, that's where you connect all the dimensions or all your thoughts which you expressed in the essay to the conclusion. That's where you conclude everything. You will try to bring all the points. Now, in these 20 dimensions, I tried to give examples where individual interest is in conflict with the public interest, right? But in the pre-conclusion, what I said was, whatever anything which is best for an individual may be better for the society also. Anything which is good for an individual may be in fact more better to the society. I said this statement, and then I explained women empowerment. I took the topic women empowerment. So through women empowerment, I said that, now I used a quotation here saying that if a man is educated, only a man is educated. But if a woman is educated, the entire generation will get educated, right? This is a quotation which I used. I said if a man is educated, only a man is educated. If a woman is educated, the entire generation is educated. So through this quotation and through women empowerment, I wanted to say that not all times what is best for an individual may not be better for the society. That's not the case. Sometimes what is best for an individual will be best for the society also. In fact, more best for the society. So I took this women empowerment. I used this quotation. And I also said that, and also Kofi Annan. There's a personality called Kofi Annan. He was the president for United Nations General Assembly also, once upon a time. So he made a quotation. I even cited that quotation also, saying that gender equality is more than a goal in itself. Gender equality is more than a goal in itself. It is the precondition for reducing poverty, sustainable development, and good governance. This was a statement made by Kofi Annan. Gender equality is more than a goal in itself. It is precondition for reducing poverty, sustainable development, and good governance. Now, what is the meaning of this statement? Through this statement, Kofi Annan wants to convey the message that gender equality is not the final goal, right? Gender equality is something more than the final goal. Now, by achieving gender equality, only then we can achieve reducing poverty. Only by achieving gender equality, only then we can achieve sustainable development. Only by achieving gender equality, we can achieve good governance. That is the meaning of this statement, right? So for India to achieve sustainable development, good governance, or poverty alleviation, gender equality is must. Now in this dimension, if we see, what is best for an individual is best for the society also, right? So this is one strong example or strong dimension which I tried to write. Now coming to the conclusion, how to conclude it? Now how I concluded is, I tried to connect all the dots and bring it to a simple but sharp conclusion. How? So finally what I said was, individual is also a part of the society, right? Individual is also a part of the society. So individual good is as important as public good, right? Both are important. And I said Vasudhaivaka Kutumbakam is the way forward. That means individual must think that he is a part of the society, right? What does Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam say? Says that the whole world is like a family. I am because the society is. So this is one quotation, right? I am existing because the society is supporting me in various ways, right? I can't be separate from the society. How much ever I try to live away from the society, society will definitely have an impact on me. Some way or the other, society will be helping me. Some way or the other, individual will have an interaction with the society. Now in this context, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam should be the way forward. It means individual should give importance to individual good, at the same time think about the public good also. Right? So this is how I tried to conclude my essay. So this is one way I tried to approach this essay.